Record, as you know, is the program where we discuss the actions, the inactions of governments, the ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as the business organizations, brands, and health affairs, and shape our worldview with these discussions that we have with the personalities. The program also encapsulates personalities and institutions that make decisions that affect the lives of the people on a daily basis. And then we also avail you, our listeners, the opportunity of calling into the program and ask questions from our guests on the topic of discussion.
On record.
Every word matters.
One of the most important operations and services carried out in a metropolitan city is to effectively and efficiently regulate movement of persons and goods. It's a smooth vehicular regulation and movement that a lot of people look forward to. But it's not just about the unhindered movement of vehicles, but the safety whilst moving, which is a core requirement to prevent road crashes, vehicle collision, and unhealthy driving. Now, the World Health Organization, WHO, estimates over 1.3 million people die every year as a result of traffic accidents worldwide, and more than half of all road traffic deaths are more vulnerable road users, including pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. Perhaps if we have a safe motoring environment, these crashes can be avoided. The National Bureau of Statistics revealed recently that a number of factors are responsible for road traffic crashes in Nigeria, and I will include Lagos State, ranging from speed violations, lights and signs violations, wrongful overtaking, dangerous driving, and tire bursts as causes of road traffic accidents in Nigeria. Of course, Lagosians can attest to the presence of the Federal Road Safety Corps, the Lagos State Traffic Management Agency, which is LASMA, and the VIO, the Vehicle Inspection Officers in the state. But our focus today is on the Federal Road Safety Corps, and our topic of discussion is creating a safe motoring environment. That will be our topic of discussion this morning. Yesterday, whilst we were rounding up the program on the record, we told you we're bringing on a very special personality today with regards to our topic of discussion this morning. But before I let the cat out of the bag this morning, let's briefly go on a break, and when we return, I'll give you a very brief history of the Federal Road Safety Corps, whilst I allow the executive to do justice to the rest of the brief, and our business for the day commences. Do stay with us.
On record.
Every word matters.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course, must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45-minute program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
can survive. Nigeria can survive. Africa can survive. My people can survive. Oh, Nigeria can survive. Nigeria can survive. Africa can survive. My people can survive. Oh, Nigeria can survive. Andrew, no check out, oh.
Say what?
Stay and build your country. Nigeria can survive. Now who go there for you, oh? Blood is thicker than water. Nigeria can survive. If Andrew doing work, oh, and me I do my own, oh, Nigeria can survive. If our leaders do them best, oh, Andrew go stay to help, oh, Nigeria can survive. Nigeria can survive. Africa can survive. My people can survive, oh, Nigeria can survive. Nigeria can survive. Africa can survive. My people can survive, oh, Nigeria can survive. Nigeria can survive. Africa can survive. My people can survive, oh, Nigeria can survive. Nigeria can survive. Africa can survive. My people can survive, oh, Nigeria can survive.
On record.
Every word matters.
For joining us. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. It's On Record, where every word matters. Now, a brief history. In February 1988, the federal government created the Federal Road Safety Commission through Decree number 45 of 1988 as amended by Decree 35 of 1992, referred to in the statute book as the Federal Road Safety Corps Act, Cap 141, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, passed by the National Assembly as the Federal Road Safety Commission Establishment Act 2007. Our guest today is the Lagos State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps. His name is Olusegun Ogungbemide. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
Yes, welcome to On Record.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I want to quickly tell our viewers, those who are viewing us live on YouTube at a High Impact 102.1 FM and on Twitter at High Impact 1021 FM. We are currently live. You can call into the program 0700 1021 1021. You can send WhatsApp messages to 0907224518 and tell us what comes to your mind when you are driving on the road, whether you are in a commercial bus or you are in your vehicle driving and you sight members of the Federal Road Safety Corps. What comes to your mind? Or perhaps you have had an experience with them while driving. You can call in and share your experience, or the sector commander is here. You can equally ask questions if you with regards to some of the experiences you have. Once again, welcome Mr. Olusegun Ogungbemide. Now, let's go into the business of the day. The Federal Road Safety Corps. I gave a very, very brief history about it. Whilst I wouldn't want you to really take us down the historical part, I want you to just tell us the core of the duties and your expectation from Nigerian citizens.
Thank you very much. You started well. Let me just start by greeting Nigerians. I say pleasant new year to every one of us, and to also congratulate Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for the recent commissioning of the Blue Line rail that was done by the Commander-in-Chief. And he's in line with the vision of Federal Road Safety Corps, that if virtually all the modes of transportation are working, the burden on the road transportation will be reduced and the rate of crashes that we experience. So Lagos is in let me say, right direction.
Okay.
So when we have reason to talk about the functions of Federal Road Safety Corps, in line with the theme of this morning's program, that is creating a safe motoring environment
Exactly.
for Nigerians. And that is precisely the reason why we were created 35 years ago. You know that by February 18th, Federal Road Safety Corps will be 35 years in existence in Nigeria. And we should be asking ourselves, have you really made any impact? Because under this phrase that I gave up as a vision is loaded with the various functions of Federal Road Safety Corps. We have the major one, which is enforcement of regulations. That is known to every layman that that's what FRSC does. But there are other important functions that have really assisted in reducing road traffic crashes. Because if you have reason to limit our efforts to enforcement on the highway, we've only succeeded in tackling 15% of the reason why we're actually out there. To
15%?
Yes, that's just what enforcement could assist in tackling. But all other indices that made up the issue of creating road traffic safe motoring environment are the other functions that we perform. We talk about research into the various causes of road traffic crashes and how we can solve it, which has given birth to so many policies that have assisted us today in actually getting the job done better.
Okay.
We talk about prompt removal of obstructions from the highway. If I tell you the number of obstructions that were removed from Lagos-Ibadan Expressway alone in 2022, you'll be so amazed that, assuming there were no agencies put in place to manage the traffic, I'm not talking about what LASMA or VIO or other agencies did.
Okay.
I'm talking about FRSC alone.
Okay.
The number of obstructions removed. Now imagine all these vehicles are allowed to litter our roads. There wouldn't have been any way for anybody to move. We talk about public enlightenment and education, which is where we started from. When FRSC was created, the first few months or years, the emphasis was on public enlightenment. Like I said, enforcement could take only 15% because I could stand to spend an hour attending to a vehicle. In the course of enforcement.
Why does it take that long?
Because of human factor.
Okay.
Even when you know you have committed an offense, that you know you are just expected to submit yourself to the law. You see argument, you see resistance, you see assaults, and at the end of the day, you will still fall for the law. So that's 1 hour.
Just a moment, please. I think we have a call already. Good morning and welcome to On Record.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. Your name and where you're calling us, please.
My name is Dorcas. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Okay, please go on.
Yes, I come to say something. When I see road safety uniform men on the road, I always run away. I always drive fast because it's either they stop me for something I'm not sure about, so I don't really run away. I just run away real fast. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I don't know when can get addressed it.
All right. First of all, maybe you have to tell us the reason why you run away. Oh, you've already said it. Okay, thank you. So before I'll quickly need you to address this question before you go back to your line of thought earlier. Yes.
Yes. Anytime you have reason to see Federal Safety Corps or other traffic agencies,
yes,
you tend to run away.
Exactly.
And I think it said if you know you have not committed any offense, you don't have reason to run away from law enforcement agencies. Then for how many times will you be running? Because you have the police on the road, you have FRSC, you have LASMA, you have VIO. That means you won't even come out.
Okay.
So, but as long as you know you have done what is right, even when you have committed an offense, it is more honorable for you to stand and face the music than for you to run away. And in the process of trying to run away, you run into more trouble. I think it's always better to adhere to what the law says.
Okay, before let me try because she mentioned something that because she said I perceive that they might charge me for something or an offense I have not committed. I don't want us to go ahead of ourselves because when we talk about, we have a section where we're going to talk about probity and discipline with regards to your officers who are on the road carrying out the enforcement activities. So currently now, I'm going to put that particular question on hold. I'm going to bring it back again. So we're still laying the foundation of the functions and the duties of the FRSC. So I would like you to continue with your line of thought.
I talked about removal of obstructions.
Yes.
I talked about public enlightenment and education. And I was trying to give the narratives of what happened when we spend so many hours trying to attend to one offender due to resistance, assaults, and insults. And when you now look at that 1 hour being spent on air talking to members of the public and educating them, I'll be attending to millions of people. That is the essence of broadcast. So we value public enlightenment so much. Like this morning now, by virtue of your coverage, as many, as wide as the coverage could go, so many people and so many millions of people have been able to get their life saved by virtue of this problem. That's why we lay more emphasis on public enlightenment and education. We do training of drivers, training of those that are interested in knowing or having knowledge of keeping the road safe. We have the idea of getting these our youth at a very tender age. That's why we have public enlightenment and road safety clubs in primary, secondary, and
they are operational in these schools?
Yes, they are very, very active.
In both private and public schools?
Both private and government schools. Primary, secondary, and NYSC.
Do you mind mentioning maybe like 1 or 2 of the schools where you have your presence there carrying out this enlightenment programs?
Like Ojodu Grammar School. Isheri Grammar School. And where we have all these private schools that are littered all around Lagos.
Yes, you mentioned the NYSC too.
And
so
the
which
NYSC
of the camps?
we have every year we're invited to the Yanopaja camp of the NYSC. And outside that, after being deployed to their various places of primary assignments, they also have their CDS. And many of them chose FRSC as their point of CDS. And what do? Apart from the training, they are also incorporated into our various activities in traffic control, going to school, and even further establishing road safety clubs in schools. They are the bigger boys and they have to still attend to the smaller ones. So we give them that responsibility after they have been well tutored.
So let's go to an aspect of your job which is of more concern to Nigerians and Lagosians, and that's about how does a motorist, a driver, knows he has committed an offense. Perhaps these offenses are something they know. Some of them is an offense that they do not know. So can you please name some of these offenses that that violate the driving rules on the road?
By virtue of the road traffic regulations as put in place by the Act establishing Federal Road Safety Corps, that's the Establishment Act 2007, we have close to more than 40 various traffic offenses that are put in place at least to assist in keeping sanity on our roads. And I'll just mention the common ones. There are some that are not true that you don't see them regularly. But the common ones that I know, we call them critical offenses. That when we say an offense is critical, it's an indication that that offense, when committed, could lead to crashes. That's why we rate it as critical. And we have other common offenses that at the same time could lead to offenses, to crashes. I do make a boast that when I arrest 60,000 offenders in a year, it's an indication that I've stopped 60,000 people from getting involved in crashes. Because all the symptoms that you have about crashes were as a result of this omission that was not stopped. So we talk about the one that is so common in Lagos today, phoning, distracted driving.
Okay.
And the major one is the issue of phoning while driving.
Okay.
It has become an issue in the sense that despite the fact that we know the implication of this, we do all what it takes to hide under cover of complicity. When we make calls and we see FRSC coming to our post, we drop the phone. And it becomes, no, it's not true, no, it's true. But the man that sees you making the call has already confirmed and established that you have committed an offense. Because one thing about distracted driving is that driving needs total commitment, total dedication and concentration. And this is what phoning while driving has taken away. It has become so ridiculous that you now see people even holding the phone while driving. And some will just tell you, I'm just holding it, I'm not using it. The rule says use of phone while driving. And use of phone is not just about you calling on the phone.
Okay.
Use of phone is about, there's no rule that says you hold phone and hold steering.
Using hands-free is an exemption, right?
It's not an exemption.
It's not an exemption?
Yes.
You cannot use your earpods and your phone is lying down on the seat.
It is a distraction.
Oh.
Use of phone while driving. As long as either you are using it or you are making use of it via your hand, or you are using hand-free, or you are using Bluetooth, or as long as the message gets into you. Our interest is what kind of message are you receiving from that phone? Is either is a pleasant one or an unpleasant one. Two of them have the same implication. When you receive a bad news from the other side, it affects your driving. When you receive good news too, you just won a lottery. The excitement can create, some distraction. And apart from that, you now see people texting, watching video on phone while driving. It has claimed a lot of lives.
Okay, now these are with regards to those who are driving. Are there offenses that those who are sitting on the passenger side can commit? Talking about seat belt and other things.
Yes.
Okay.
If we expected of you that it's your responsibility. That's why we don't even care about the passenger. You own the vehicle, you are the one behind the steering.
Okay.
It's your responsibility to tell all other passengers what is expected of them. They are not to be in the vehicle without the use of the seat belts, either front or rear. Because research also confirmed that in case of a somersault, those that are the rear seats can be used as a weapon to kill those that are in front when the vehicle is in the course of somersault, because they are free and you are well kitted in your own seatbelt. So their own movement can cause problem for those that are seated. So it's an offense.
Okay, just a moment, please. We have another call. Good morning and welcome to On Record.
Hello, good morning. My name is Wande.
Okay. Where are you calling from, please?
So I'm calling from Ilopeju.
Okay, please go on.
Yes, I heard talks about not being able to use hands-free, not being able to use certain things
while you're driving.
That requires me to call while you're driving.
Yes.
But in Lagos here, you can't just park. If you have an emergency and the call is so much of an emergency and you have to pick it. Now, Lagos here has several laws against parking. You cannot even park to answer those calls. So in moments like that, how do you handle stuff like that? And knowing fully well that you have to answer that call. What if it's an emergency, that something is happening somewhere and you have to get there?
Okay. Thank you very much, Wande. I think you want to respond to that.
It's a very simple response. I got to a crash scene a few years back. And when we were trying to evacuate that scene, the phone of that man was ringing. And he happened to be a medical doctor. He was there beside the phone. He couldn't pick the phone again. He has no more liability. He's gone. So there's nothing that can be too important than your safety and the safety of other people.
Okay, I think one aspect of the question Wande was referring to is, if the call is very important and he feels the need to park at
the same response. I just gave you the.
It cannot park?
It can park. That's what the rule says. He is saying Lagos traffic has made it very difficult for him to park. But it cannot take you 30 minutes to look for a place to park. And there is no information that is that so urgent, so important that you have to attend to at that moment that is big enough to jeopardize the lives of other road users and your own. So the only thing it takes is that take enough time and look for a better place to park.
What about in times where these vehicle users parked on the side of the road and some of your officers accosted them and said, you don't have the right to park here?
You don't have
in
the
such
right
cases
to park where you are not supposed to park in the course of trying to make calls. You don't park and create obstruction just to pick a personal call. That is infringing on the right of other road users. So you have to look for a proper place to park so that you can attend to your own private calls.
And the same thing applies to when a person is pressed and wants to maybe...
If you are pressed, will you park on the road? Will you create obstruction? You will still have to look for a place to park. Assuming while you are pressed, armed robbers are operating, will you stop? You still continue under that pressure. You can still make that sacrifice. I wouldn't tell you some things we have done in the past when we are driving at night and you know it's not a convenient place for you to park and ease yourself. You know what you can do as alternatives. So these are the alternatives we should put in place to save lives.
Okay. Now let's begin, because you were talking about we just mentioned just the critical or the very, very common crimes, or what you say, offenses. Yes. Are there some other sophisticated ones that you would need our listeners to know so they can take note, please?
The one that has actually become a thing of concern to us is issue of speed.
Speed.
Yes, we've had reason to complain about the bad roads. Terrible roads here and there. It's damaging our cars and creating crashes. Do you know the alternative to bad road is good road? And we have created more death because we have good roads due to lack of discipline of our drivers. The law says you should not go beyond particular speed. And what do you say these days? On a good road that has just been completed by government, you see people going on 140, 150, a road that you cannot predict what the other road user will do, a road that you cannot predict who is going to interject you, a road that you cannot even predict the status of your own vehicle.
Okay. Do you, when we all know that across the country there are some bad roads, or there are bad roads out there. So in your capacity carrying out a research, which is part of your core responsibilities, and do you give feedback or provide advisory duties to the government concerning roads?
When we talk about responsibilities of FRSA, that's one of the major work we do.
Advising government.
Yes, we do our regular road survey on monthly basis. All what you see as intervention being put in place by Ministry of Works today, that's Federal Ministry of Works, or as a result of regular reports that is being submitted by FRSA. We talk about the black spots, we talk about the blind spots, we talk about the infrastructures, the deficits on infrastructures. And these are the reports we send regularly from Lagos. I get the various federal roads survey on monthly basis and forward to our head office, who now direct it to the appropriate quarters. And I also have interface with Lagos State when it comes to issue of areas within the state that just this morning I just spoke with Engineer Akimbote of Federal Ministry of Works. Because while applying a particular aspect of the road, I noticed one or two things, and I had to call him and say, what can we do in this area? These are the things we do that reflect in what you see.
And you get appropriate feedback. And appropriate feedback is not what I meant by just saying, okay, I've heard you, but in action.
We follow up. We see construction is a physical thing. So when there's no intervention, we know there's no intervention, and we still go ahead and repeat it.
Okay, let me take you back briefly when you started when we commenced this conversation. You made reference quick to the Lagos State government and the recent establishment and the commissioning of the Blue Line Railway. The Federal Road Safety Corps. Does their duties equally cover the Nigerian Railway Corporation activities?
I would rather say I would take them as one of our major stakeholders.
Okay.
It is not that we have direct influence over
Because
what
we don't see much of your officers in those areas.
we don't. He's not Federal Railway Commission. It's Federal Road Safety. But the interface is that the rail will still pass through the road. You understand?
It's a road.
So what we have is where we have these intersections where the road and the rail have a contact, and it has effect on the use of the land road or land means of transportation. We also relate, like the recent crashes that occur at rail line.
Yes.
The necessary intervention could be, we have the enclosed rail lines with gates. We have the ones that is open. Why do we have this problem? What are the necessary action that could be taken? These are part of the researches we carry out, and we also attend to the necessary stakeholders on the necessary intervention that should be put in place. So they are part of the stakeholders, but FRC does not have direct enforcement link over railway activities.
All right, just a moment. It's like we have another caller on the line. Good morning and welcome to On Record. What's your name and where you're calling us from?
Good morning. This doctor is calling you back.
Oh, okay, Dockers.
Yes. So I'm speaking of offenses. So I called to ask that there was a time last week I was on a bus going to Yaba Phase 1, and then I told the driver to take the bridge to Yaba Phase 1. I said no, that that road is for only private cars. But there was no sign there to tell you that road was for only private cars. Let's assume he listened to me and he went through that road. It would become an offense for him, and there was no sign actually. Like, what can be done or what should be done to this kind of thing?
Okay,
that's what I called back.
All right, thank you very much. But before I have Mr. Ogunbemide respond to your question, we have a message here I would like to take briefly. I want to commend the Federal Road Safety Corps for being up to the task in their duties. Is there a way we can have an harmonized document would be pasted on car windshields that would indicate that I have all the permits for the year, rather than carrying a whole lot of papers from different agencies? The system we run is so cumbersome. Ola from Ogun State. I think that's a very pertinent question you will need to answer.
That question is not for FRC per se, because I'm sure he's talking about all these various permits being carried for local governments, right of roads or what have you. When the one that concerns FRC is your driver's vehicle particulars and driver's license. So as long as you have that one, you don't have any issues with us when you have not committed any offense. And even for FRSC, outside the driver's license, that is either you are having it or is expired or you don't have it at all. If you have not committed any offense, I won't stop you to ask for your driver vehicle papers.
Okay.
It's only when you commit an offense it's necessary for me to impound your vehicle. So rather than truncating your journey for that day, if you have all your original papers with you, it's taken in lieu of the vehicle.
But I've seen your officers where they just park vehicles without an offense. They parked vehicles and by roadside, and the next thing is, can I see your papers?
Yeah.
They just park vehicles arbitrarily.
Yes.
Even without committing an offense.
Yes. There was a particular time when it became rampant that people were driving on the road without driver's license.
Okay.
And when we have special patrol, you are given permission to stop to confirm. There's no way I will know if you have your driver's license without stopping you.
Okay.
And the prerequisite to use the road is for you to have genuine driver. Because if you are driving without driver's license, like time bomb, that means an indication that you are a dangerous driver, you have not been trained, you just find your way to the road. So we have to sieve out such road users. And how do I confirm if I don't stop you? So we have special patrols like that.
Okay.
If we also have reason to check tires, it becomes a special patrol. A rolling tire cannot really be detected whether it's worn out or it's still intact.
Okay.
So you have to pull out to check the status of the tire.
Just a moment. We are due for a break, but I quickly need you to attend to the question that Doc has called back to us about there are some areas on the road that you used and there's no indication or no sign that commercial vehicles are not supposed to use this road, or probably a truck or some other vehicles are not supposed to use this road, and they left it there vacant. But when that road is plied by that type of vehicle, they get arrested by officers.
Yes, I would rather take the comment of Dockers as a feedback.
Okay.
And I will direct it to the appropriate quarters.
All right. Thank you very much. If you're still listening, we are live on Twitter at High Impact 1021 FM, and we're also live on YouTube at High Impact 102.1 FM. We're due for a break, and when we return, our conversation with the Lagos State Commander, the Lagos State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps continues. Do stay with us.
On record.
Every word matters.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course. Must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45 minutes program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
The newly introduced 200, 500 and 1,000 naira banknotes are now in use under legal tender in Nigeria. The new banknotes were introduced to check issues such as counterfeiting. It is an offense to reject the country's legal tender. Accept them and use them side by side with the old banknotes, which will cease to be legal tender on January 31, 2023, when they shall be withdrawn from circulation. Remember to deposit your old banknotes at your bank or the nearest mobile money agent around your location before the deadline. For further details or complaints, call 081 766 57641 or 081 766 57642. The Naira is our national pride. Let's embrace the new currency.
This message is brought to you by the CBN in collaboration with National Orientation Agency, NOA.
On Record.
Every word matters.
1988, when FRC was established, February 18. Prior to that year, Nigeria was rated as number 2 after Ethiopia as the most dangerous country to drive. And number 5 in the whole world with the highest rate of road traffic crashes. So having gone that far to where we are now in 33 years, you agree with me that so many transformation has really happened. We might not be there yet. Well, as of today, Nigeria is the lead agency in traffic management in Africa.
On Record.
Every word matters.
Welcome back, and many thanks for joining us on the program. The voice note you heard lastly before we got back on the program is the Lagos State Sector Commander. We went to snoop on him and we brought out some of the things he has said in the past in other platforms. That voice note you heard is like 2 weeks ago, and 2 years rather ago, and I was surprised when he said Lagos or maybe Nigeria is one of the best climes you can drive in when we talk about traffic management. I was really taken by that.
Yeah.
And sincerely, I didn't believe that. And I said, we're going to have a conversation with you and you are going to put it on record. If you are really saying that response because you were asked that question, or that is the reality.
Thank you very much. That statement was made about 2 years ago, and that was exactly the 33rd anniversary of Federal Road Safety Corps in Nigeria, and it was as a result of record that was made available to us prior to the establishment of Federal Road Safety Corps. 33 years ago, you could talk about the number of vehicles that were plying Nigerian roads. 33 years ago, you could talk about the road network compared to the millions of vehicles that are plying Nigerian roads today, and the wide road network attending to more than 200 million citizens. And at the end of the day, when you look at the casualties that are being recorded on our roads compared to where we're coming from, you agree with me that we've come a long way. I tried to raise an issue sometimes last month when a truck fell on a bus that was carrying about 18 passengers, and we lost one person, I think the driver, and there was an alarm raised. And I told someone close to me, I said, a few years back, the entire 18 people would have been killed on that spot because the container would have fallen from a high up on that vehicle that would have claimed the lives of the 18 passengers. But today, because of the policy of twist locking or lashing container, that truck fell, still held to the truck of that flatbed. So it couldn't be thrown overboard. It only fell. And unfortunately, the driver happened to be the one that received. There was one that happened last year too, where a container fell on a saloon car. But because it was not thrown, the 4 passengers.
Okay, so what was responsible for that?
What is because of the various policies that have been put in place. These are the casualties. These are the incidents that will have claimed casualties in the past. Now, we have policies that are regulating our haulage business in Nigeria today. It was not there in the past. It was all commerce affairs. And you recall that before the establishment of Federal Road Safety Corps, when you have any of your relatives traveling, it's as good as going on a suicide mission, because you cannot guarantee that the person will come back.
Okay, let me interject here. Lots of these trailers that drive on the road, you mentioned that they were supposed to have a particular kind of belt that holds the container in place and not to allow it to fall off. But how do we Nigerians know that these trailers have this on them? So if they don't have it, they can take down the numbers of these trailers and give you a call to report these incidents. Because if they don't know, we've seen trailers that drives on the road, and the consignment they are carrying, those particular containers, are swinging here and there. It's not hearsay. We saw it.
That was actually the battle I fought last year and the year before, when we use social media to do caricature rather than passing message to the appropriate quarters. You recall there was one that was carrying a tank, this fuel tank, but I think 45,000 liters of fuel, and the container was dangling on the truck, and it was video, and somebody put a music at the background, this one, wow, and it was going viral.
Okay,
you didn't pass message to anybody. You've only succeeded in making caricature of the country.
Okay,
I had expected such video to be forwarded to LASMA, forwarded to FRSC for prompt action. Because the truth is, when it comes to issue of safety, it has to be everybody's involvement. You know, we cannot do route lining on all Nigerian road network. That is why we appreciate feedback. All the crashes you see us, we say we have 15 minutes response time. It's because we have people giving us information.
Okay, please, I will need you to answer that particular question. How does an average Nigerian know that there's that particular belt on that trailer is intact and is there?
According to the National Road Traffic Regulation, containers are to be twist locked.
Okay.
Why open cargoes are lashed? Let us not mix it up.
Okay.
Lashing a container is an added security.
Okay. So how do you lash it?
Lashing is when you have the rope
tied around.
That is not the one that holds that container.
Okay.
At the four edges of the flatboard, you have irons that are mechanically fixed at the spots.
Yes.
That is the one that we call twist locking.
Okay.
That is the one that holds containers. The function of the lashing is for open cargoes. You carry pipelines, you see these generators that you see, you will see the rope. So when you see a container that is moving without that belt, it's not that it's not being secured. The twist locked is at the four edges. You see it. By the time you are driving across, look at the edges of the container. When it is there, you know it's twist locked.
I will have to interrupt you because our time is almost here, and I have a few more questions I need you to attend to before we finally call it a day. Now, deploying technology to, let's say, making people to conform to these traffic laws, and making sure that if you've perhaps violated any of these traffic laws, the Federal Road Safety Corps doesn't have to stop you on the road, park you by the side, and have a long 1 hour conversation with you. Probably you get home and you receive the text message you've been fined by either the federal government or the state government, by the appropriate department, because you violated such and such traffic rule, either somewhere at Ojodu, Berger, or somewhere at Badagry or Ikorodu, when you are driving at such a time and at such and such hour. Can we have that?
Let me give you a scenario. I was driving behind the vehicle, and the man was being funny. And he saw the vehicle. He didn't even bother whether it's FRSC vehicle or marked vehicle. He just snubbed us. I demanded for the number plate, and it was given. I sent it to our database force, and they gave me all the details of the guy. And while we were still on the road,
you received that information there and then?
There and there. While still on the road, I cautioned him. You know, the guy was wondering how I got the phone number. You know, he's like, he never believed that is the extent of the robust database that we have been able to generate for Nigerians now. We don't need to run after you. We hardly run after vehicles.
But this awareness is not really out there.
If you say it's not out there, the number of people that have been contacted by VIS on their phones today, they will not tell you. When they will tell them that the vehicle particulars has been expired so years, and they are being fined, and they are advised to go and make their payment before they are arrested. Thousands of Lagosians are receiving such information on daily basis, and it's an indication that we have gone beyond traditional means of enforcement. But one thing that is important is that the technology is playing its role. We talk about technology when there are crashes and there's a call, because we have situation room where information are gotten. We have CCTV being planted all over the places. We have the body camera that secure our men against attack and also protect the other road users against the misconduct of our men. That is what technology has been able to do. We have the infusion of a speed limit device that when we're not there, your speed is being regulated because it's in your vehicle, is with you.
Okay, just a moment again. So at what point does the Federal Road Safety Corps provide assistance and advisory functions to motorists without penalizing them without penalizing them, because most of them see it that whenever your officials stop them on the way, they know that it's either they are going to part with a few nairas from their pocket or they are being taken to their office for charges. Are there been instances where a driver was caught, parked on the side, and he was cautioned and given instructions and they let him off the hook? Okay,
look at what I have here. Offender stopped in 2022, 84,988 stopped. Offenders cautioned, 9,277. It's an indication that we still have provision for, but it depends on manner of approach.
All right.
An average road user becomes aggressive when he's stopped by law enforcement agents, operative. And if you are aggressive, I need to calm you down. And it could be an indication that you don't even know the impulse of the offense you have committed. And I could go further for you to have a better understanding. So we stop with caution, depending on the gravity of the offense you have committed. How do I caution a man that is drunk behind the steering? How do I caution a man that perpetually decides to be texting and making calls, even when he's parked beside me and he knows that it's an offense? It's an indication that is a realm of impunity. So such person, when he receives a ticket, is a reminder that this offense was committed once. I won't commit it again.
Okay. Second to the last, I would like to address these two questions at same times. Driver's license, some people cry out that when they go obtain their driver's license, it takes forever to get it. And the other thing is, how do you work with your sister agencies, including LASTMA and the police officers, to make sure that they do this job in the proper way?
A driver's license, I'm sure the person in the recent time has not gone for driver's license, because today, even under 1 week, 2 weeks, you can get your driver's license, the original. That's outside the temporary one you hold at the point of capture. So that one has been taken care of. Technology has so much improved in that regard. And the relationship with other agencies in Lagos, that is the strength of Lagos. The LASTMA, FRSC, VIS, police, and all other military and paramilitary. In fact, that is what has made Lagos to be one of the most secured states in Nigeria today, because we have our platform, we have point of meeting where we exchange ideas and we forge ahead. Okay, so when they want to contact you, your social media handles that they can get to you on, either on all social media or the social media platforms that your core, that the organization exists, maybe you can mention that. Well, let me give you the free tool. Okay. A toll-free number that is 122, which is you can make use of it anywhere to get in touch with our headquarters, who will reach out to the closest command or closest patrol vehicle to the point of need. And for the states, you have the state sector commander's number, which is 080-77690201. Okay, please take that again. 080-77690201. That's the sector commander's number. Okay. And for the other handles that is made available, we have www.frc.gov.ng. Okay. That one you can easily access any information that you need to give. All right. I'm sorry. We are done, but I want to apologize to my producer. I need to ask this question before you leave. I saw in one of your functions that you have, you provide free medical attention to those who involve in accident by the side of the road, free of charge. I haven't seen anything like that, but I've seen lots of accident-prone areas, accident victims and circumstances like that. But because I haven't seen you carrying out, or your organization do that. Okay, yeah, well, maybe you've been a lucky man. You've not really come across many crashes. I'm just about showing you one on my phone now that was carried out during the visit of the Commander-in-Chief when there was a crash and our men were there to attend to them. That is what we do. That is the essence of having ambulances stationed virtually everywhere. And not just our ambulances stationed, we have our first responders that All the artisans you see by the roadside, they were all activated during the end of year patrol activities.
Okay.
The artisans you see by the roadside have been well trained on how to dispense first aids to accident victims. They have 2 roles to play: promptness to the point of the crash, and attending to the victims, and also communicating to us for us to come with the larger rescue team.
All right. Thank you so much. And that's where we will draw the curtain this morning. Our conversation has been with the sector commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Lagos State, Olusegun Ogungbemide. Thank you very much for your time, sir. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you.
It's a pleasure. Happy to be here with you there.
Yeah, that's where we draw the curtain this morning on Record. Do well to join us again tomorrow. I am Oyinpriye Krumale. Good morning.
Welcome to On Record.